Today, we'll meet our mascot here on the New Variety Art Show and find out why he'd rather be in Philadelphia. It's W.C. Fields coming up next, so go get a pool cue and come right back.
And now, the man who can pull a hat out of a rabbit, Brad Zinn.
But only on a good day. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the New Variety Art Show. We're sure glad you're here with us on this edition. We've got a very special guest to get to today, and we're going to do that. But I want to tell you, I'm Brad Zinn, your host, as we prepare to meet another Variety Arts performer from the world of show business and entertainment. You know, we have this show every week to give you a chance to meet Variety Arts performers one-on-one, find out what they do, why they do it, how they learn to do it, and hopefully the next time you see a Variety Arts performer live and in person, you'll appreciate what they do just a little bit better. Of course, if you have any thoughts or comments on the program, we'd like to hear from you. And we have a number where you can do that. That's area code 602-841-6507. And we want you to pick up the phone and call us and let us know what you think of the program, if you have comments or suggestions, and let us know what's happening out there. You see, there's no rating service for this channel. So unless we hear from you, we don't know that you're out there. Now, a guy that we know is out there, Van Corriton, our musical director. Yes.
Hi, Brad. It's good to be back.
Good to see you again, sir.
Thank you.
And what is this I heard about, an award or something? That
oh, the Phoenician, yes.
The Phoenician.
The Phoenician, yes.
The Phoenician.
Yeah.
Where you play every week, or every day?
Every day, just about. We were voted best tea again, afternoon tea in the Valley. Of course, we only had like one competition.
So it was 1 out of 2 and you come in first.
Yeah, all right.
Well, so, you know, it's better than coming in second,
exactly.
I guess. All right. Well, we've got a lot of things to talk about. We have a really full show here today. First of all, one of our previous guests, and let's see which camera is going to be able to get a shot of this. Over here. Okay, this is Alan Pruitt, one of our previous guests here on the New Variety Arts Show. And he is appearing as Benjamin Franklin there in the schools, as he was on our program. So we want to congratulate Alan Pruitt for getting his photo in the paper. All right, and thanks for being here. Oh, you know somebody else, another guest that we had on the program, Tim Wade, that does the Elvis impersonation.
Oh, yeah, he was wonderful.
I have done a couple of shows with him, and he is dynamite in person. We were out at the Superstition Springs Mall out in Mesa, and to all our friends at Superstition Springs Mall, hi, and thanks for tuning in out there. And just the other day, Saturday after Thanksgiving, we did 3 shows, or he did 3 shows, and I was out there with him at Westridge Mall. And these people just went nuts. I had one lady come up to me and argue with me that it was not really Tim singing, that he was lip syncing. So I'll let you know if you're watching the show, it really is Tim
really
singing.
Heard him singing.
Now, on our beard survey, this is coming to an end because, you know, we only have this show and one more to tape, and then it's over. We've had 2 calls.
Only 2 calls.
2 calls, and so the vote is tied. Debbie Black called and said, "Keep the beard." And that's all she said. She got the machine. She said, "This is Debbie Black, keep the beard," and hung up.
The nose has got to go.
The nose has got to be dealt with. But then we had another call from a gentleman who said to lose the beard. So we're tied. I guess we'll keep the beard. Oh, Pat Holcomb, that was here with Kim Welsh. With the 2 magicians we had for Halloween. Pat did a nice article in the LOTA, which is the newsletter for the Magic Club here, and he did, stay right there, see, he did a nice little article on us there, and told what it was like to be on the show. Now, there is
What's
something...
it like being on the show?
He said nerve-wracking. The lights were very hot. There is something we need to explain. On the show that is coming up for the IBM Ring 55, which will show you the information on that
The
in just
one
a
you
minute.
weren't invited to be
That's
in.
the one.
Yeah.
The phone number, folks out there, is not for the ASU Music Theater. The phone number is for the fellow from the Magic Club who is selling the tickets, okay? So it is not the ASU Music Theater. If you call that number, don't expect to get the ASU Music Theater, because they don't know anything about it.
If you want tickets, though, you call this.
You call that number, right. Dimension Cable is going to a new schedule December 21st. Check your schedule to see when we're going to be on, because as of this taping, we don't know what our new schedule is going to be. So after December 21st, you're going to have to look for us and see if we're still in the same time slot, okay? And we're probably going to be on just once a week after that as well. Now, the Bob Ricks special. Many of you have been watching the Bob Ricks special and calling me. Bob Ricks' Christmas House, that documentary we did last year. The display is different. He's open from Thanksgiving to New Year's, 6 to 10 p.m. And the house is located 16th Street and McDowell, 1 block south of McDowell on Brill. So if you get to 16th Street and McDowell, you can't miss it. You'll follow the traffic through. What else? Oh, and the City of Phoenix is going to let him stay open as long as he doesn't charge admission.
Right.
By the way, we do have loyal viewers, even though sometimes they do not call. Kim Welsh, that I mentioned earlier, works at the Via Luna. And he had a 17-year-old patron come in, and he said, "Do you know this guy that looks like Harry Blackstone Jr.?" And Kim said, "I think I know who you're talking about." He said, "I watch his show every week." Now, this guy's 17. He's not involved in show business, but he watches every week. So thanks for tuning in. We appreciate that. Make the New Variety Art Show a viewing habit. Now we're ready for billboards. I hope we have some shows to let you know where people are. Lynn Roberts, Big Band Jazz, January 21st, 93 at 7:30 p.m. the Alhambra High School Auditorium, 37th Avenue in Camelback. Tickets are available at the door, and the doors will open at 7 p.m. So we hope that you will make it part of your plan in January to come see Lynn Roberts and I at the Big Band Jazz Show, and that's to benefit the Sexual Assault Recovery Institute. Okay, here's the show I was talking about. The IBM Ring 55 presents an All-Star Magic Show, March 19th and 20th. There'll be 2 different shows at the ASU School of Music Theater. For ticket information, contact 934-2057, but that is not the number for the ASU School of Music Theater. That is the ticket information number. So just tell them you heard about the Magic Show and you want information. Now, we have a lot of friends around town that are appearing. We tell you every week to support variety arts in your community, and this is how you can do it. Kim Welsh appearing at the Via Luna, and also now at Maryland's, a new gig for him. Kenton is at Maryland's. That's call ahead to find out when they're going to be there, folks. Maryland's Mexican Food Restaurant. Flash Covington is at the Cafe Creole playing music, and then at Rawhide doing magic. And we have Kevin Barnes still at the Excalibur Hotel in Las Vegas, and Michael Finney, I just saw him. He signed a 5-month contract to appear at Trump's Castle in Atlantic City starting in January. So congratulations, Michael. That's a fabulous contract. If you get to Atlantic City, look him up and tell him we said hello. Fiddle and Saul Rednick at the King and I Coffee House and Tony Maria's Pizzeria. Of course, if you need more information, our number here is 841-6507. Hi. Okay, we're back. Now, this will be the next to the last show that we tape. We're going to tape one more show. We're going to put the shows in reruns in 1993. There'll be encore performances in case you just found us or you'd like to see a favorite show of yours one more time. In 1993, we're going to run them all again. So make this a regular viewing habit. And if you'd like to see our show perhaps bump up to commercial television, if you can be a sponsor, call us, okay? All right. Now, I think we got through everything, Ben. It's time. I'm so excited to meet our mascot.
Yes.
You know who I'm talking about.
I sure do.
W.C. Fields. Our guest today is very dear to the hearts of all variety arts performers because he started out in life as a juggler and a vaudevillian and grew to become one of the all-time great comedians and movie stars ever to appear on the American scene. That's why we made him our mascot here at the New Variety Arts Show. We're very pleased to have him on the show today. Let's meet the one and only W.C. Fields. Ah, yes, my little...
What are you doing to me?
Oh, goodness.
Hello there, Brad.
Very good to meet you, Mr. Fields. Thank you so very much for coming down to be on the show today.
Pleasure to be here and be on television. Am I going to see the 6-day bicycle race in this thing or what?
No, I think we'll just have to hope for the best here.
Okay.
I'd like to find out, first of all, if you'd tell us about your early life and how you became a juggler, because a lot of people don't remember that you started out as a juggler.
And life was hard, especially if you live in Philadelphia. There's one strike against you to begin with. No, I was the son of a vegetable dealer, and as a young boy I used to travel with him through the streets of Philadelphia selling vegetables, and there was a handy object or two to play with. Of course, I dropped them from time to time, and he'd smack me upside the head, but that's I learned how not to drop them after a while. But I used that. One of my very first gigs, I believe you call it, was to do some juggling at a Methodist church festival. And I did it fairly well, only dropped my hats a few times, juggling hats. And I was promised by the vicar to be paid 30 cents at the end of the show. I had to ask him 4 times to be paid, and he ended up not paying me. So being a rainy day, I was resourceful and took all the umbrellas and sold them and got my 30 cents back.
Now, not a lot of people remember also that you worked in other countries around the world before you really hit what we would call the big time in the United States. Where did some of your travels take you before you hit the big time here?
Well, fortunately, I was able to be quite successful in many countries around the world because I did not speak. So I could not offend them by saying their words the wrong way. So I performed in Russia, Germany, France, England, Australia, China, you name it, I performed there.
Now, I understand that actually your speaking career or your career on stage changed as a result of an accident in Australia.
Well, yes, indeed. We were in Australia at the time, and some goof backstage dropped something, as loud bang, and I'm normally quite composed, but I dropped everything I was juggling at the time and said, "What's going on back there?" And the audience laughed. I just said, "What's going on?" and they liked it. So I started adding more things, and eventually I brought more and more into a full-fledged vaudeville act, and ended up working with Ziegfeld in New York.
The Ziegfeld Follies, of course, a very famous Broadway show. That,
absolutely.
And vaudeville show that toured. What were your, one of the major stars that you're connected with or remembered for having worked with was Mae West.
Ah, yes.
And what was she like to work with?
Well, she was impossible. She was a prima donna. She hogged the camera without stage. My kind of woman. Actually, I only got to work with her one time. I understand legend has put it that I worked with her many, many times, but no, only one time on My Little Chickadee.
My Little Chickadee.
My Little Chickadee, quite a picture, I must admit. But I must admit it was quite an experience working with her. I was, of course, helping her because she was on her way down in her career. She really needed a boost. Of course, she felt the same thing about me at the same time. And had many a battle over who was going to be listed first, who was going to write the show, and ended up doing it as best we could.
And who are some of the other vaudeville greats that you worked with through your career?
I remember most fondly Will Rogers. Yeah, Will Rogers brings a tear to my eye from time to time. Yes, indeed.
Well, we had Troy Neighbors on our program one time as sort of a latter-day Will Rogers.
Yes.
And they're doing a big show about Will Rogers on Broadway right now. Won the Tony Award. Perhaps someday they'll do a Broadway show about W.C. Fields.
I hope not. No, it'd be fun. I'd be love to. Actually, they did a little show about me in Tempe, I understand, a few months back.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And I understand the man that played your part did a very fine job.
Well, I congratulate him. It's a tough one to do.
Now, one of the other vaudeville acts that you worked with was Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy.
Ah, yes.
The ventriloquist. Of course, most people today would know Edgar Bergen as Candace Bergen's father, but that was
Mr. Brown.
Mr. Brown, exactly. Yes. What was your relationship with Edgar Bergen? And might I interject that a lot of people may not know this either, and that was Edgar Bergen was a very fine magician.
He was a very fine magician until it came to his lips. He couldn't get them to stop moving when he was playing with the puppets. Yes. But no, he was a very fine magician and a very fine friend, except for that little termite high-rise that he had as his partner. Woodpecker's Feast, we called him, Charlie McCarthy.
Charlie McCarthy. Now, you had quite a feud with Charlie McCarthy.
You might say so. He'd use lines on me. Like I remember the time he said, Mr. Fields, I understand you were standing at the corner of Hollywood and Vine, and 40 cars were waiting there for your nose to change. But nonetheless, I kept looking at him with the greatest admiration and with my whittling knife every chance I got.
Now, you did a lot of radio back early in your career and even later in your career.
Mostly later, actually, yes, in the 30s and 40s.
30s yes. and 40s. Right. Tell us about your move from vaudeville stage to Broadway and then to the movies. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed. That's basically how it went in the 1920s. My very first big show on Broadway, an actual Broadway actor, was Poppy. Of course, I found it quite unfamiliar to be an actor on stage. a problem learning lines, since I was not used to doing lines.
But now you had done sketch comedy
Here
in
and there,
vaudeville.
yes. But to do more than 20 minutes at a time was almost impossible. But I had fun doing it, indeed. Did Poppy, story of a young lady who runs off to join the circus, and I ended up directing the show for the director, because the director didn't know me or how I did things, and we got great reviews, those who were worthwhile, all the battles.
Now, they later made a movie about that, didn't they?
Yes, they did, 1936. I remember doing that. I remember that with great pain, actually. Tough time in my life. Was imbibing a little more than usual back then. Had this one trick, decided to do my own stunt, as they call it, and rode a bicycle into a truck. Broke a vertebra in my neck, and put me out for several months.
Goodness, and you were lucky enough not to be paralyzed.
Yes, indeed, yes. I actually did it twice. I did it again later.
Ah.
Oh, me and bicycles. I don't ride them much anymore.
I would guess not. What were some of the characters that you played in the movies? Were they anything like you in real life?
Oh, not at all. And if you believe that. In Poppy, I played Eustace P. McGargle, and I was a fan of names. You know, I like Charles Dickens for all of his Horatio Hornblower and all those names. So I ended up using names like that from time to time. Larson E. Whipsnade.
Larson
and,
E. Whipsnade. That was one of my favorites.
Right. And so those were some of my favorite names to use.
Now, your name at birth, your given name at birth, was not W.C. Fields.
No.
Would you reveal to all of us what...
Oh, it's in all the books now, I guess. It was William Claude Dukenfield. Now, my parents called me Claude, but I like to be called Whitey. My hair was pure and white, much like my spirit and soul are these days.
So the W.C. is William Claude, but Fields...
Fields. Dukenfield was my original name, but I dropped the Duken.
So it was just shortened a bit.
It fit Marquise. I was having a hard time. They were trying, the name kept going off the end of the Marquis.
Is it true that you once played a practical joke on Baby Leroy?
Well, I thought it was a very, it was necessary. The young brat was making an awful lot of noise, and he needed to calm down a bit, and so I gave him some of my calming juice in his orange juice. It was, he slept much of the rest of the day.
I understand they had to shut production down for a while.
Just a little while, until he got out of it, woke up, they slapped him a few times, he was fine.
Now, we've just been through a very tumultuous presidential election in this country, 1992. And I understand that you ran for president.
Yes, I did.
In
1941.
1941. Now, this would have been very difficult to do, would it not? Because the election was actually in 1940.
Yes, well, I tried very hard, though. I used important campaign slogans. You can't cheat an honest man. Never give a sucker an even break. But despite all of that, I did get one vote, mine.
Well, did you? You never tried that again, I guess.
No, that was plenty.
Yes. What? How would you describe your relationship to kids?
Well, I'll break some news to those who may not know. I actually enjoy children, but don't let it spread around. Baby Leroy and I were great friends for many years. I enjoyed playing with him, but in the films, I'd give him a kick every so often. He needed it. But I like children. Well, I take that back. I didn't care for my own children that much. One experience that really drove me back to drink was when William C. Fields, Jr., my son, my wife Hattie brought him over right after he graduated from law school when I was living in New York. And I said, congratulations, it's quite an honor. And said, why don't you have a drink? And he said, Father, I don't drink. So I kicked him out of the house. He would not drink, and if a man can't drink, then he's not going to be a man in my house.
Aha, so you have very definite feelings about...
I love it, thank you, and I encourage it. It's, of course, if you feel that you must quit, it's an easy thing to do. I've done it thousands of times.
Now, what about dogs? You seem to have been plagued with dogs through many of the films that you did.
Yes, and it's too bad we don't live our lives like they do in Cuba, where they eat them.
Well, don't write letters. Please do not write letters. Okay. What advice would you give to people dealing with con men? Because you certainly had quite a reputation as...
Watch them. Watch your wallet at all times. Keep it in a forward pocket if you can. Put your hand around it, yes. Con men are interesting. They're fun to watch from afar, from the other side, not directly on when they're grabbing your material. But I may have been something of a con man, a con boy in my young days. It was a tough life. I left home at the age of 10. And when you have no regular source of income, you have to find income somewhere, and if it came from someone's pocket.
Now, is
all the
this where
better.
you developed your skills as a card sharp?
Three-card Monte comes to mind, as various other card games. Yes, indeed. Did a bit of that here and there. I'm not thoroughly ashamed of saying it.
Were you ever caught cheating?
Next question. No, I was too good.
Now, Goff, just before we wrap this up, we have just a couple of minutes left
Sure.
to speak with you here. But I wanted to find out about Goff. Now, you of course played pool, and you had one of the most
yes.
famous routines you did was with a pool cue and a pool
yes.
table. But you also spent a lot of time on the golf course.
I
You
love
have-
golf.
Tell us about golf.
Almost as much as drinking. Golf is wonderful, especially if you got the right putting niblick to play with. It's my favorite film of all. In fact, the very first one that I did for Max Sennett when I moved to Hollywood involved golfing. And some of my favorite tricks are all the golf clubs that would do the funny things and twist around and explode. Of course, there was stepping on that stupid pie that bothered me a lot. But golf is the way to go.
Oh, that's right. There was a pie laying out there by the tee, wasn't there?
Yes, there certainly was. Stepped in it several times. Yes. But I think I've owned probably 500 or 600 clubs over my lifetime. Most of them ended up in ponds. Yes.
Just quickly, before we wrap up, what was your favorite film? What would you like the public to remember you best?
I think maybe my favorite was It's a Gift. For one, it had Baby Leroy. He was fun. And the famous scene on the back porch when I'm trying to take a nap. My wife once again has chased me out. And the insurance salesman comes up and says, is there a Carl Lafong here? And I say, how do you spell that? And capital A and L, small a, capital F, small O, small a, and small G. I said, no, there's no Carl Lafong here. Capital A, small a, capital F, small, it was fun.
So it's a gift.
It's a gift. It's
a gift. Is this available in the video stores?
It is
anywhere?
these days. It is. I find
It is wonderful.
Yes.
Well, folks, I can't think of a better way to wrap up 51 shows of the New Variety Art Show than to have our mascot here. You know, this has been sitting here ever since we started the show.
I'm very sorry.
You were going to say something about that. You had a
I was
request?
hoping we could cover this thing up here. Charlie Chaplin.
Charlie Chaplin was not one of your favorites.
No, we called him the ballet dancer for that silly walk of his. Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you for coming by.
Thank you, sir.
And making our show complete. Thank you very much. Now, we'll be back after these important words. Don't go away.
It's Motor Madness. What's Motor Madness? Well, we feature the hottest cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, and we have our fabulous models. Matter of fact, anything with a motor qualifies. You never know what's going to be on Motor Madness, so you won't want to miss it. So tune in to Motor Madness and check with your cable carrier on Dimension Cable. We're also up in Prescott. If you want to see it, check the schedule and get the times. It's on Channel 22. Don't miss it.
We're back now with the man who created and performed a one-man show about W.C. Fields. He's an actor, writer, producer, director, and one of the founding members of the Mill Avenue Theater right here in Tempe. Please welcome our W.C. Fields for today, out of makeup, Mr. Bruce Miles.
Thank you,
Bruce,
Brad.
thank you very much.
Feels like deja vu once again to be here.
I think so. Well, tell us about how this show about W.C. Fields came about.
It's actually one of the more fun stories. I was doing an industrial film playing Charles Kuralt, and I was able to puzzle my lip like Charles Kuralt. But they said, you got hair, and Charles Kuralt has very little. So they sent me off to this makeup guy out in Mesa. David Ayers is his name.
Very well known, by the way.
Yes, yeah, he does. He's done a lot of aliens for various movies like Close Encounters and Something Wicked This Way.
So this guy is no...
Right. Yeah. So we went out there and he put a bald cap on me. We took a couple of Polaroids of me looking like Charles Kuralt. And he took it all off and he said, wait a minute. He goes into this drawer of noses and pulls out this nose and sticks it on my face with a little bit of glue and then finds an old straw motor he's got. And all of a sudden we said, hey, we think we've got an idea. So my wife, who's a playwright, who wrote Gov the Musical and some other
Gov
plays.
is one of the longest-running musicals in...
Longest-running show in Arizona history now. We just ended it at the end of November. And
so it's no longer in production
No
right
longer
now.
in production now. But she went to task and in about 5 weeks turned out a script, and we had the pleasure of working with Richard Roberts, who's a film archivist here in town, and we dug up a bunch of great old W.C. Fields films which are not available these days on video. And the combination of David's makeup and the inspiration from the films and my wife's research and writing and finding out about this man, we put together a show, and it was an awful lot of fun to do.
Yeah. How long did the show run?
The show ran for 6 weeks, and it was a good experimental run of the show. We ran it in July and August this year, and we're real enthused about the show and want to bring it back, and could do that this spring.
Very good. And how? And also, how long was the Is it a one-act, a two-act?
It's a 2-hour show, 2 hours plus. So
Oh, it's
two
2
long
hours.
acts, right?
So this, you maintain this character for...
I was on stage for 2 hours. I was off for like a minute and a half, and during that minute and a half, I was ripping off one set of clothing and throwing on another. So it's just all WC.
Now, is this
all the time.
completely a one-man show, or were there other
We had one other
people?
person. When we researched WC by film as well as book, almost all of his life was involved with other people, reacting to other
Yes.
people. So we had the quintessential other person, a wonderful actress named Helen Hayes. She's the one who's 27, not 91.
Okay, yeah.
And she played 38 different people in his life, from his mother to his wife to Mae West.
Talk about an actor going home being schizophrenic.
She did an amazing job to play all those people.
So you think there's a possibility it could come back in the spring?
We're looking forward to it, yeah.
Do you think it could ever go on the road? Do you want to tour this thing?
It's possible. The time for nostalgia about W.C. Fields is coming again, I think. I think from the late 60s to the mid-70s, college students brought back W.C. Fields through their film festivals. And I think the time, once again, is coming, the resurgence in his fame.
Now, a very famous film was made about W.C.'s life with Rod Steiger. And they portrayed him as having a rather dark side to his life. Do you have any enlightenment through your research?
Actually, what's interesting of there are only a few biographies of W.C. Fields. There was not a lot of insight deep into the man. You can only make guesses from what life he had. And he left home at the age of 10, was kind of on the other side of the law at times, was a bit of a scofflaw, and then brought that to his characters. And then I think those characters came back to him again. He had a very tight circle of friends, very few. The ones who did not criticize him for his drinking and his lifestyle. He had girlfriends.
Well, that was obvious from the way he dealt with his son.
Yes, definitely. And his wife, Hattie, he would never talk to her if he could help it. But he had a few girlfriends on the side and a few drinking buddies. And
The way that he passed away in the state afterwards was kind of tragic. The kids and his ex-wife kind of fought over that.
Right, he had a very clear will. In fact, we have a copy of the will. It's very interesting. You can buy a copy of that will. And he had some very fine bequests, and not very much to his wife and his own son. But they fought it, and it was a very sad way to go.
Now, I understand that he was in an unmarked grave for quite a while. Has that now been taken care of?
I don't know about the upgrade on that.
Yeah, a year after he was buried, it was still unmarked.
Right. Most interesting thing, considering the time of year that we're doing this, is that he passed away on Christmas Day, 1946.
Yeah.
And throughout his life, he did not like the holidays and Christmas in particular, so there was a foreshadowing there, I guess.
Yeah, he actually did a version of the Christmas Carol at one time, didn't he? He would have been the quintessential Scrooge, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Actually, my favorite strange movie role for him was playing the egg in Alice in Wonderland.
Right.
Humpty Dumpty.
Real quick, we want to tell people where they can find out more about the Mill Avenue Theater.
Mill Avenue Theater, for the holiday season, we're doing a holiday show called Bah Humbug, or if you want to find out about anything that we're doing at Mill Avenue, call us at 921-7777.
Okay, and that's how you can get more ticket information. And do you have some other plays running besides Bah Humbug?
Bah Humbug's a big one that's going right now.
Okay,
for the holidays.
okay, but you also do things at the Herberger and
you've got it. We're out and
the Dial Center, whatever. Steve Easterling was here when he was in the Gov, and they were doing it at the Dial Corporate Center.
Right.
Well, listen, Bruce, thank you so much for stopping by. We're almost out of time here. We want to say get out and support community theater, and Bruce's productions are top flight. Van, thank you very, very much for being here. Don't forget to be here next week for our holiday show.
Yes.
Okay.
My Santa hat.
You got it. And thank you, the viewers, for making it possible for us to be in your living room every week here on your public access station. My name is Brad Zinn, saying support variety arts in your community. Bye-bye, everybody, and God bless you.